have your mouth closed.
This is Jack Wyant with credibleinformation.com. We're here on Sunset at the Los Globos Club.
My name is Elisa, stage name Miss Marquez. I'm a burlesque performer out here in LA and also the artistic director of Marijuana Madness.
Marijuana Madness is the show that we're about to see here at the club.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marijuana Madness! Presented by Miss Marquez, powered by Graston. The true story of marijuana prohibition during the jazz era.
Then tell us a little bit more about this very unusual show.
Absolutely. So Marijuana Madness is a burlesque and live jazz show that tells the true tale of cannabis prohibition during the jazz era. I've been performing burlesque for about 7 years now, and I'm a lover of classic jazz music. I have the privilege of performing with some of the most talented jazz musicians here in LA. And when I started to dive deep into the history of jazz, I realized it was so closely tied to cannabis and the prohibition of cannabis. And so I was really inspired to create a show, especially in the year we live now here in California, where cannabis is recently made legal recreationally, and I felt like it was the perfect opportunity to kind of showcase how we got here.
Welcome. I'm going to take you back in time, back in space. As much space as you want to put in between your legs there, young lady. It's fine to do that. It's going to be a perverted ass time today. I'm going to take you back in time, back in space. Wait, this isn't working. Hold on, it's a little broken. Back to Storyville, New Orleans, 1900 and a long, long time ago. Back when jazz was called jazz. Back when this stuff that they got set up here was dirty, disgusting, lascivious, sexual, dirty, disgusting. Dirty brothel music.
Yeah, my partners Grassfed are a really amazing cannabis event company.
Yeah.
It's Tomer and Dan, and when I developed this concept for our show, I had no question in my head that I would want to partner with them because they really curate really special cannabis events that are treated more like a wine tasting. It's more cerebral, and it's about elevating your experience with this show.
But it's a natural. I mean, it's a natural. The events that they're doing, plus this show, jazz and marijuana and the history of it. I mean, it is, like you said, it's intimately connected, and so it's perfect.
Yeah. And two, I think it's important to change what social environments we're able to consume cannabis. You know, like you can go to any bar and have a communal experience with people, but there's not a lot of social ways to consume cannabis. And so that's what we're really trying to do here is provide a very classy, sophisticated way to socialize and enjoy cannabis.
Well, I really want to talk with you about the dancers and the show and music and so forth. Let's start with the music.
Absolutely.
What tell us about the band that's going to perform?
Yeah, so this band I've been working with for about 6 years. I've gone overseas with them to Japan, to the Fuji Rock Festival. So we have some road time with each other and really great improv musicians. So all of the performance you'll see as far as the burlesque goes will all be improvisation. Because the way I approach burlesque and the way the burlesque performers I have in my cast, it's all about being the fifth additional instrument. So no choreography, just being in the real moment of it. And all the music from the show is all from the era, so 1920s, 30s, and 40s. It was really important for me to use the classic music from the time. And yeah, I consider myself so privileged to be able to share the stage with these musicians.
And how many performers?
So there's 4 band members, a classic jazz quartet, and a host and 2 burlesque performers, and there's also a couple surprises. It's important for me to tell the tale and not just have themed acts where people get a sensibility for the era, but like I have quotes, that were spoken in Congress, that led to the prohibition of cannabis. We talk about Louis Armstrong, who had his whole history of it, was arrested here in LA at the Cotton Club and in the LA jail, so it was really important for me to tie in all that history. I'm also a huge history buff, so it was a great excuse to dive into all of it also.
Well, and you said you've been doing burlesque for about 7 years.
Yes.
And have you done other kinds of dance? How did you get into dance, I guess?
Yeah, I'm a classically trained ballet dancer. I started like so many little girls do when they're 3 years old. I was lucky enough to attend scholarship during the summer with American Ballet Theater, and I finished high school at an arts academy in Michigan called Interlochen Arts Academy, an amazing school.
Yes.
From there I went to Pennsylvania and got my bachelor's in arts in dance, choreography, and pedagogy, the art of teaching ballet. And from there I did all sorts of contracts. I danced on a cruise ship for a year and got to travel Europe. When I moved to LA, I got signed with an agent, and when you're new to LA and you're signed with an agent, you go on every single audition they send you on, and burlesque just happened to be one of them. Interestingly enough, it was for a woman who had a burlesque troupe. Her name is Dakota, and she is the other burlesque performer tonight.
There you go.
So she became my mentor. She took me under her wing, and I learned a lot from her. And so now it's great to kind of like have her a part of my show also, and be a part of, like you said, it's really a community here in LA. I teach a weekly burlesque class that I call Empowerment in Heels. It's really based on empowering bodies of all types, shapes, sizes, genders, and it's a weekly class every Sunday at Hollywood Dance Center. So I provide them with an opportunity to do that. So yeah, I'm very privileged to be able to say that pretty much 5-6 days a week I'm doing burlesque in some way.
You guys want a saucy brown? Boito.
Now this show, which is as you've described it, themed, have you approached the choreography different than you have for other burlesque performances?
Not necessarily the choreography, but definitely the way I've developed my acts in this show. Primarily, most of my work throughout the week, it's just performing with live jazz bands, and it's just having that kind of vibe, vintage vibe, and this and that. For this show, I've created two very distinct cannabis-driven acts, and I do a lot of my own costuming. So in regards to how the act has developed, it comes from first the music. You know, I was really inspired by some of the songs from the 1930s that actually talk about cannabis. And that's where I started the inspiration for my act. And then from there I went to costuming, from there I went to blocking, and then the choreography is just kind of what happens organically on stage. But comparatively to, you know, what you were asking about, like my other gigs and other shows, I don't take as much time to develop the act as I have with this. And I don't perform these acts anywhere, so you can only see these cannabis acts at Marijuana Madness.
Then the church bells ring, ding dong ding. If you a viper. Dream about a reefer, talking on. Body man, but not too strong. You'll be high, but not for long. If you a viper, she's the queen of everything. Gotta be high, so I should do her thing. The bells ring my name. If you're a viper, boy, you know you're dry if you just can't try. Everything is dandy. Drop on down to the candy store. Pop your top on peppermint candy. Yeah, now you know that you are high. Everybody, you know they gotta try. You are high, and so am I. If you a viper. You'll be high, but not for long. If you're a viper, she's a queen of everything. She gotta be high, know how to do her thing. Oh yeah, let the bells ring. Hold on a second. Ding dong ding. Well, you know I'm high, I'm gonna try. Everything is candy. Pop on down to the candy store. Bust your top on peppermint candy. Now you know that you've been sent. Don't even know if I can't pay the rent. You are high, so am I. If you
What is burlesque? How do you define it? How do you describe?
Yeah, I think burlesque is really hard to define, and for that reason, I've looked it up in the Webster Dictionary, and according to, I mean, don't quote me on this, but it was used as a style of comedy during like the Shakespearean era.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I do think that there's a lot of, even though nowadays you have, like myself, very trained professional dancers that are into burlesque. I don't think you necessarily need to be a dancer to do burlesque, but there's just those little nuances about being a stage performer, knowing comedic timing, knowing rhythm, and knowing how to work your audience. That are very...
If you abide by, if you abide by.
I am just now so buzzed and so anxious to see the show, even more than it was when I heard about it. So thanks a lot, and good luck. Break a leg.
Thank you so much.
I can barely wait to see it.
It was a pleasure.
Hopefully we'll talk to you a little bit later after the show.
Absolutely.
And just terrific. Keep up the good work. What can I say?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for talking to us.
Absolutely. Bye.